Happy fall, guys. Don't you just love the cold weather? The leaves changing and then falling and dying off the trees. Don't you just love the darkness that comes so early? No? Okay, sorry. Wrong crowd. Just kidding. This is the perfect time to talk about seasonal affective disorder. That's right. We're going to talk about winter depression. Why are we going to talk about winter depression? Because it's fall and winter time, and you know when this disorder usually occurs? During this time. So we are going to shine a light on that winter depression, and we are going to talk about it. Now, for most people, during this time, this may be the first time you feel a little bit more down in the dumps, and you might be thinking to yourself, like, what is happening? Because you could feel sadder than usual, and you're tired, and you have lack of energy, and that is all due to daylight saving time and the sun setting at like 4:30 and it being dark by 5. And for a lot of us, I don't think we realize that sunlight is very important for your mental health. Why? Because it gives you that vitamin D. It makes you feel better. There's just something about going outside and soaking up the sun and reading a book and going for a walk and hitting your face and making you feel good that during this fall and winter time and these seasons you just simply don't get as much unless you are sitting in front of the window soaking up that sun as much as possible, besides the days when it's snowing or cloudy outside and the sun is nowhere to be found. For people who are already suffering from a mental health illness or depression, having symptoms of depression during the wintertime or fall time is normal. But for people who don't associate with a mental health illness, this is something that is very new. Kind of like the anxiety and depression and mental health disorders people were experiencing during COVID. It is something new that comes about that you've never felt before. Now, for certain people, they feel the seasonal depression every year around the same time. Now, of course, like I said, you have people who feel depression all the time, and you have people that do feel depression during summertime. But typically, you're going to feel it during these colder and darker months. Now, something I realized too is that people will bring this on when they are already stressing or having anxiety or having negative thoughts towards winter coming, because you already know that it's going to be colder and you're going to be stuck inside. And if you have kids, that you're going to have to entertain your kids, and then it's going to snow and you have to worry about plowing the snow where if you live in your own house and driving in the snow, and it's getting darker quicker, so now your sleeping patterns are off and the amount of sunlight is down, so you're already anticipating and getting anxious about everything that's going to come during winter time. So sometimes you can bring on the seasonal depression without even thinking about it, because you're so anxious that now you get sad about it, and because you have no lack of energy, you don't want to get out of bed and you don't want to go to work and you don't want to do things, but you have to find ways to cope with it and keep moving on and keep progressing. And if this is something that's new for somebody who doesn't already suffer from it or doesn't have depression or has never suffered from it, it is something to right when you feel the mood shift and you feel it coming on and it lasts for a while and you can't get rid of it, it's important to go to your doctor and say, hey, look, I'm feeling this way. What is happening? What can I do? And your doctor will help you figure out what is going on. And if it's just something that happens during this time, they might tell you you're suffering from SAD, which is seasonal affective disorder, and it is something that is just going to last during these winter months, and when spring and summer come, it's gone, and then you might never feel it again. And like I said, there's people that suffer from this every year around the same seasons. They know how to cope with it. They know what to do when it shows up, and they know how to keep themselves going until it's over. It's for those people who for the first time in their life this is happening for them, and they're just like, oh my gosh, what is happening? What do I do? And some of the things you can do that can help you, but it may not be something that will prevent the first episode of SAD, but these are things you can do to help yourself get out of that funk once you know this is what you're suffering from. It's things like using a light box. Start using a light therapy at the beginning of fall before your symptoms start. You could get outside. Now, yes, it's going to be cloudy, but it's important to get outside when you can, even if it's cloudy, because the sunlight can make you feel better. You could eat a well-balanced diet. Even though your body is feeling those starchy and sweet foods, you can stick to nutritious choices. A healthy diet with enough vitamins and minerals can give you the proper nutrition and energy you need. You can exercise. For a lot of people, during the summertime, you go on walks, you run, you bike ride, you swim. So you're getting the exercise during your day that during the wintertime you might not normally get, because now it's cold outside and you can't be outside because it's snowing. You don't want to walk in the cold or snow, and you can't bike, and obviously you aren't swimming. So it is important to maybe give yourself 3 days a week where you work out 30 minutes a day inside, and you can go on YouTube. I use FitOn. There's apps and stuff that you can follow and videos you can look up to help you exercise if you just aren't going to automatically do it yourself. There's videos and stuff you can follow, and exercise is going to reduce that stress and anxiety that play roles in the symptoms of SAD. You could see your friends. So since you can't go out and do things more, you could still have your friends come over or go to your friend's house and still have that social activity and regulate it, so then you have support during those winter months when you're feeling off. You could find help, which is going to your doctor, talking to them, trying to figure out what kind of plan you need, what you need to do to put in step to make yourself feel better. That's when, too, your doctor could recommend the light box, what kind of light box you need, how many times a day you should sit in front of, because in light therapy, you buy a box that you turn on and it shines light in your face. And usually when I was looking up, they recommend doing it right in the morning, because some mornings it might be dark and gloomy and the sun might not be out. So if you sit in front of that for a few minutes every day, and then if you need to up it, you can. But you would sit a few feet away from this box, and the light right in the morning just for the first hour can wake you up and help your mood improve throughout the day. Because the light therapy mimics that natural outside light and appears to cause the changes in your brain chemicals that are associated to your mood. So the light therapy, for I think what I read was the first line of defense, and then you would go into medications and group therapies and other things that the doctor could recommend if that doesn't work. And usually it starts working within a few days or a few weeks after using it, and then I think after using it for a certain amount of time, you no longer have to use it and you're okay, and you can go the rest of the winter feeling fine. But it does recommend before buying one to contact your doctor and talk about it, because like I said, they're going to be the ones that are going to be able to tell you which ones to buy and how long to sit in front of it and how many days to sit in front of it, and if you should do it right when you wake up or after you wake up or sometime in the morning. It is always recommended to talk to your doctor about the things that are going on with your life and how you're doing and things they recommend, because if that doesn't work, then psychotherapy might be something they say, or medication. And if you're on medication, stick to your medication plan. Keep taking whatever you need to take during a certain amount to take it to get through the season, because sunlight is a big thing for people that suffer from mental health, because it is something that can change your mood when you sit in front of the sun. So having that lack of sunlight during these months are going to affect you more than you think they would affect you. So when you're suffering from SAD, it is very important to know what symptoms to look for and how to get help for how you're feeling, which again is reaching out to your doctor or your medical team and discussing what you're going through and what the best actions for you are going to be. So another thing that happens when you are suffering from SAD is your sleeping patterns, because obviously now that it's getting darker earlier, your body automatically thinks that it's time to go to bed, and it's not time to go to bed. So this can disrupt your sleeping patterns because now you're going to bed earlier or you're waking up later. And for some people, for some reason, my body after 8 hours, I automatically wake up. And for other people, your bodies don't do that. So I think it's a good idea to still set the time and tell yourself, this is what time I'm going to lay down every night, and this is what time I'm going to wake up, and set an alarm and kind of stick to that schedule, so then your body regulates to the schedule that you've set to yourself, no matter what it's like outside. Because where I live in Wisconsin, at 4:30 it starts getting dark, and by 5 o'clock it is pitch black outside. So automatically your body is going to say, okay, for one, it's dark outside. For two, now you're tired even though it's like 5 or 6 o'clock at night, and I think you should go to bed, so let's go to bed. And because you're listening to your body like, oh yeah, I'm tired, and then you lay down and then you sleep for way too long. And for some people, when you sleep for way too long, you just feel groggy and bad. So getting yourself on a schedule where you're like, okay, I'm going to go to bed at 7 or 8 o'clock every night, and then I'm going to wake up at 5 or 6 every morning, then that'll regulate your body to say, okay, like, this is what I've set for myself, and no matter what it is outside, I'm not even going to pay attention to that. That's why light therapy, I think, for some people works out very well, because when you do that, your body is still regulating that natural sunlight it needs to realize that no matter what is happening outside, like it helps your brain say, okay, yeah, I'm getting the sunlight I need, and it's going to regulate my mood and how my body functions and everything that goes with it. So one of the biggest things, I guess two of the biggest things you would see is that, like, the change of sunlight is going to affect you, and then your sleeping patterns are going to be thrown off. And I think just because, like, daylight saving time, you gain that extra hour, and that throws off your body too. So for a lot of people, that first week after it happens, you have a hard time, like, getting back into a routine, because now, like, your body is so used to, like, the way time has been going, and now that time shifted is how I could put it, time shifting. Your body is trying to make up for, like, that extra hour that you didn't have before, and it can throw off your body and your sleeping patterns as well. And it's just the chemicals that go on in your brain. And, like, when you have depression, that's linked to a lower level of serotonin. So your melatonin is the hormone that helps you sleep regularly. And when those change in your body and in your brain, then those are the things that affect you and can affect how you sleep and affect you having depression, and affects how everything goes on. So it is just really important to pay attention to how you're doing during these times, and pay attention to how you're feeling and everything that goes along with that, because this is going to affect 5% of adults from age 18 to 30, mostly in women. They don't know why, but it mostly affects women more than men. But it's just very good to pay attention to what's going on and how you're feeling. And during this season, for, like I said, for a lot of people, this just happens because it's cold and because it's darker outside, and your body's trying to adjust to everything that is going on, and the chemicals in your brain are trying to adjust with the sun being down a lot sooner than normal. And for a lot of people, this is the first time that they're going to associate with it, and they're going to deal with it. And then you may deal with it 1 year and never deal with it again. You may deal with it every single year. But when you know the steps you need to put into place to help you, it won't be so hard. I do want to say though, obviously you can suffer from depression all year long. You can also suffer from depression during summer, which is called summertime depression. It is just like the depression you suffer during the winter months, but it's during the summer months. So like these things that can cause your mood to change and the things that are happening chemical in your brain is like if you have a family, your kids are home, maybe your teenager or your young adult is coming back from college, so now you have the kids in the house, you have to entertain them, you have to feed them, like all these things that like normally they're going to school or they're at school, and these are now thrown upon you during the summertime. Vacations and stuff, just the financial worries about keeping your kids entertained and going on vacations and paying for things, that could cause like stress and depression. Having the heat, some people like just don't like the heat and they just would rather be inside, and air conditioning, or just having body issues because obviously you might not have taken care of yourself during the winter times and now it's summertime and now you're concerned about putting a bathing suit on. So I just want you to know that like seasonal affective disorder typically does occur during the winter and fall months, but it can affect you during the summertime months. So if you are feeling down and anxious and sad during the summer months, this might just be something that you're suffering from during the summertime because of all the things that come during the summertime. And maybe for most people it's a big thing of like just like being outside in a bathing suit and you're just not comfortable in your own skin. And with that, I would say to conquer like that first, and then maybe those feelings of like feeling down about yourself and feeling bad about yourself will go away, and then you won't be suffering from the depression of just feeling horrible about yourself. So obviously these risks of getting this disorder are higher during the winter than the risks of doing and having these during the summer, but the risks are still there during the summertime. They just might not be something you get every year like you can with this. You can get this disorder every year during the fall and winter times. So you might think, what are the best things I can do to take care of myself during this season where I might be suffering from the seasonal affective disorder? And the things you can do is to stick to your treatment plan. If you are on medication, if you're doing the lamp for SAD, use them as directed and follow up with your doctor to make sure that it is working. And if it's not working, what are the things you can put in place to help you feel better during this time? You can just take care of yourself. Like I said, eating healthy, getting enough sleep, so setting up a sleeping pattern for yourself, exercising regularly, and try to manage your stress. So if you're having a hard time, maybe talking to a counselor or a therapist during this time would help out a lot, because then you're able to talk out your feelings. They're able to help you talk through it, work through it, and find things that are going to work for you that might not work for other people. And it specifically is for you and to help you better yourself during this time. You can also plan ahead, because if you make a plan for what you're going to do when the symptoms come up, the chances for them to get worse over time is not going to happen. So if you notice your depression is happening, you take action and you plan out activities that are going to up your mood and make you happier during these months. And you're going to keep yourself busy so you're not like hunkered down at home doing nothing and getting sad because it's cold outside and it's snowing and you can't go and do anything that you want to do. So when you put these plans in motion, it just keeps yourself busy so your brain doesn't have enough time to be like upset about it being cold or dark outside. You can start a treatment plan early. So maybe at the end of summer into the October month, you can meet with your doctor and talk out what you're going to do for this fall and winter time. Because if you're somebody who is like gets this every single year, you could say, okay, like I know it's coming. I'm going to talk to my doctor and I'm going to figure out what exactly I need to do this year and what worked for me last year and what didn't work for me, so I can keep doing that to keep myself going during these hard winter months. 2 things not to do is to isolate yourself, because when you isolate yourself, For one, I've personally been there and known that when you isolate yourself, you get lonely and your depression gets worse. And when you decide that you don't want to go out and you don't want to be social and you don't want to reach out to your loved ones or your friends, then you feel very lonely. And for a lot of people, when you do that, it's hard to say, but it does happen, is you get suicidal because you're just sitting in your own pit of negative thoughts. So try to reach out to your friends and families and don't isolate yourself. There are times that it's okay to be alone, but try to not do that too often. If you know that you're prone to get very sad and lonely and upset if you constantly isolate yourself, or if you have a partner or a very close friend, like when you start to feel like that, reach out to them and say, hey, I'm feeling this way. Maybe you can put a plan in action with them to say, okay, like, hey, by the way, I'm feeling this way. Then they come over with like chips or popcorn or games or a movie and says, hey, let's hang out, let's do this, let's go out, and like I'll pay for this. And like you can set up things in motion so when you feel this way, it's a trigger for them to know, okay, it's my time to get you out of your funk and change your mind and distract you from how you're feeling. Now, again, you're allowed to feel sad and you're allowed to go through the motions. It's when you continue to go through the motions and you don't do anything to make yourself feel better or to preoccupy yourself, which can make things worse. And the reason I say I've been there is because I've been there when I was in my very dark depression days, is I just kept letting it fester and fester and fester until I finally opened up to my fiance and told him, like, this is what I'm going through, and talked to him about it and talked to my mom about it, my sister, and like said, hey, these are the emotions that I'm doing. And like on the days that I cry or I feel bad, like my fiance automatically knows, like he comforts me and distracts me and takes me out to do things. So then I'm not sitting and festering in the feelings that are just gonna make me feel down and about. Like there's times where like I'll come home and I feel sad and I'll go to lay down in bed and he comes and he's like, no, we're not doing this, we're not ruining the rest of your night, you're getting up, you're coming downstairs, we're talking, we're watching movies, we're playing games, we're doing something to distract you and get your mood from down to up. And most of the time, if it's great and it works, and like I'm still like in the emotion, but I'm not like festering in the emotion. If anybody connects with that, exactly, like the person who knows what you're going through and how you're feeling, like they know what to do and they know how to step in and they know how to change that. And the last thing not to do is to use drugs or alcohol. That's another thing that people do, is because they think that if they do a drug or they drink alcohol, it makes them feel better, and it doesn't. Over time, it just makes you feel worse. And if you're on a medication like antidepressants, it interacts with that negatively. So please don't do that. And because sometimes depending on how much you drink or the drugs you're taking, it can just be addictive and you can have a hard time coming off of that. And then you would have to go to like a detox place to help you. So if that's something that you feel like is happening, again, reach out to your doctor, let somebody know, so that's not something you just automatically fall back on. So to conclude about this is that seasonal depression is a type of depression that is brought on due to the changes in the season. So again, it typically happens during the fall and winter months when there is less sunlight. It can be mild to severe and affects everybody differently and can affect anybody at different ages. You could be suffering from it for 1 month or the whole month or a few days, or if you do the light therapy, it could be gone in a few weeks. So it's going to affect everybody differently. Again, you could deal with it one time out of the years of having it, or you could have it every year, or if you're already suffering from like depression or anxiety or any other mental health disorder, it could be something that just like is 10 times harder for you during these winter months when this season changes and your body's changing and you have to deal with it. So always remember to be easy on yourself during this time. Like your body and what's happening, like give yourself time to feel the way you feel, and don't be so hard on yourself, because when you're hard on yourself, then you go to the negative place and you just don't want to do that. So like, give yourself grace to feel the way you feel, and if you keep feeling the way you feel, reach out to your doctor, reach out to your care team, and find somebody to help you, because the sooner you can figure out a treatment plan or something that's going to help you, the better you're going to feel over time. So for many people, by the time spring and summer arrives, your symptoms have improved or they completely have gone away. So if you're feeling down during the wintertime, don't despair. The sun will be back before you know it. And you just need to really hang in there until you, one, find something that works for you, like a treatment plan, or for two, maybe you just need to get yourself through it until spring and summertime come around, and then you're allowed to soak up the sun and your mood improves and you're allowed to do the things that have helped you during the summertime, maybe help with your depression that you can't do during the wintertime. And again, finding things you can do, like the light therapy, exercising, changing your diet, reading, like maybe hang out with friends, watching movies, playing card games, video games, like find something to help you. And when you find that thing that, or the things that help you, then during these seasonal change or these winter time when it's cold and it's dreary and it's dark, it won't affect you as bad when you have things set in place and you already know it's going to happen. So then it helps you get through them easier. So usually at the end of every episode, I share with you celebrities who also suffer from the disorder we're talking about, but for some reason it's extremely hard to like find celebrities talking about suffering from seasonal affective disorder. So I want to share with you some quotes that celebrities have talked about and quoted that talk about depression, who have been there and know how it feels. So Beyonce once said, "I didn't eat, I stayed in my room, I was in a bad place in my life going through that lonely period. Who am I? Who are my friends? My life changed." She wrote this to say what it feels like to be depressed. Demi Lovato said, "It's my mission to share this with the world and to let them know that there is a life on the other side of those dark times that seem so hopeless and helpless. I want to show the world that there is life, surprising, wonderful, and an unexpected life after the diagnosis." And she said this because this is why talking about depression is so important. Cara Delevingne said, "It was realizing that I shouldn't be ashamed of feeling these things and that I wasn't alone. Learning that everyone goes through similar things. That being vulnerable is actually a strength, not a weakness, and showing your emotions and being honest about it is good. And this is why," she said, "about not being ashamed." And Miley Cyrus said, "I went through a dark time where I was really depressed, like I locked myself in my room and my dad had to break down the door. It was a lot to do with like I had really bad skin and felt really bullied because of that. But I never was depressed because of the way someone made me feel. I just was depressed." And she said, "This was about your family being there to pick you up." And lastly, the last one we'll talk about is Selena Gomez. She said, "I think it's safe to say that most of you know a lot of my life, whether I like it or not, and I had to stop because I had everything and I was absolutely broken inside. And I kept it all together enough to where I would never let you down, but I kept it so much together to where I let myself down. I'm not trying to get validation, nor do I need it anymore. All I can say from the bottom of my heart is that I'm so grateful. If you are broken, you do not have to stay broken." And this was about being broken. I always like to share the celebrities who share the diagnosis or the disorder we're talking about, because I think it just normalizes people to realize that they're humans just like us who suffer from things just like we do. And it can help you associate with people and celebrities that you didn't think you could associate yourself with. So I hope this episode was able to shine a light on the winter depression and give you a little bit of insight on suffering from the seasonal depression if you are feeling the way you're feeling during these cold and dark, dreary months. So like always, I want you to remember that you are never alone and that I love you. Thank you so much for listening to another episode. You know what would be so cool? If you guys could share, like, comment my episodes. It is so helpful to know what you guys like and what you guys want to hear, and it'll help my podcast get out there more if you're liking it and sharing it so other people can come by and also be able to hear episodes that might help them too. So I'll talk to you guys in the next episode. Bye!